Oh, hello, good evening to you. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Abata Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Ghana Police Service is pursuing persons publicly brandishing and indiscriminately firing toy guns in the public, arresting 26 so far. But there's a development in this regard because a member of parliament was also a deputy finance minister, has also been caught in a situation involving some of these persons who were brandishing these toy guns. We'll tell you exactly what the situation is here on Ghana Tonight. Also, on your election command center, minority in parliament opposes a petition for a recall of the House to reconvene on Thursday and Friday as the stalemate between the two sides of the House continues. What must give? That's the question we're asking tonight. Also, here on your election command center, we unpack the victories of members of parliament in this 8th parliament who won their seats in the 2020 election by a hair's breadth. And when we talk about a hair's breadth, we'll tell you exactly what we mean by that. If you stay with us here on your election command center, as always, this is the place to be as we build up strongly to election day, December 7, 2024, some 11 days away from today. Can you believe that? But as always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's set up for Ghana Briefs.
The Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, says it is ready to undergo audits by local and international bodies to validate its steps regarding the alleged distribution of unwholesome rice to senior high schools. This comes after MP for North Tone constituency Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa alleged that over 22,000 bags of expired rice were distributed to senior high schools. The FDA's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Delise Mimi Dakon, states that the FDA followed international best practices for food safety.
International best practices for food safety, including use-by dates, which indicates safety, and foods must not be consumed past a use-by date. Expiry date, which indicates both safety and quality. Expired products are unsafe and should be disposed of. Best before end date. This relates to quality and not safety. Foods may lose their flavor or texture, but remain safe if stored correctly.
The Electoral Commission (EC) has assured it will complete the distribution of election materials, including biometric verification devices (BVD) and ballot papers to all regions across the country by the close of the weekend. According to the chairperson of the Commission, the Bono East and Northern region should, by close of day today, receive their ballot papers.
We are also near completion with our ballots, the preparation of our ballots for the presidential and parliamentary elections. And all the ballots, with the exception of the Northern region, the Bono region, and the Bono East, have been disseminated to our police armories across the country. Our biometric verification devices are also being prepared, and we are confident that by this weekend, all the biometric verification devices will be safely lodged in the police armories across the country.
Flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says God can use him to transform the country. Addressing the people and members of Hebron Prayer Center in the Nsawama constituency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia appealed for votes to ensure that he continues with the implementation of the free SHS program.
Free SHS no member be born home by me de be ebe ka ho e de ahoto abrega na fo nyina enti me ba ha empai bonti ena me bae minim se hadie mo bompai a nyame otie mo mpai bo.
The flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has descended heavily on President Akufo-Addo over his comment that the NDC left him a deficit of power outages, popularly called DUMSO. The NPP administration has mocked the NDC with the power outages that led to its removal from office in 2016. In the lead-up to the elections in few days, the NPP has launched a series of adverts on DUMSO. Speaking in the Elembele district, John Mahama says the president must not be disingenuous.
DUMSO was not solved before we came. I heard him say that we could not keep the lights on. How can we run 24-hour economy? In 2016, DUMSO had been solved. Nobody's lights went off in 2016. Nobody had load shedding in 2016. That is on record. Go and look at Gridco records. Go and look at ECG records. Nobody had load shedding in 2016, and that is a fact.
Good news for renal disease patients, as all is set for government to commence the rollout of its free dialysis program. The program, scheduled to run in about 40 selected health facilities, is estimated to cost government between 20 to 57 million Ghana cedis annually. The CEO of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Dr. Dakota Abuaje, at a joint press briefing with heads of some selected health facilities, assured Ghanaians of their readiness.
We have just had a meeting with the heads of facilities, and we are all in agreement that it is something that we can do, and we're going to implement it to the latter in such a way that our patients will benefit from this dialysis program that we are rolling out.
As more news on 3news.com, make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight here on your Election Command Center. Coming up next here on your Election Command Center, we begin with matters of elections, and the Electoral Commission has indicated all is set for the special voting for election 2024 on Monday, December 2 at some 328 special voting centers. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Adokwe-Mensah, said this during an interaction with the National Security Task Force and as Election Task Force headed by the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, was earlier today, and we were there. And I'm just going to take you straight to exactly what the EC chair said with respect to the special voting, which is scheduled to take place on December 2nd. That's next week, Monday, ahead of the December 7 elections itself. Now, this is what she indicated about the preparedness, and then matters relating to the BVDs as well that are being moved to some armories of the Ghana Police Service in preparation for the special voting and the December 7 presidential parliamentary elections. That's the general elections as well. Take a look.
All our registers have been prepared. We have completed the preparation of our voters' register, and they have been disseminated across the country. We are also near completion with our ballots, the preparation of our ballots for the presidential and parliamentary elections. And all the ballots, with the exception of the Northern region, the Bono region, and the Bono East, have been disseminated to our police armories across the country. I'm well aware that the ballot papers for the Northern region, the Bono and Bono East regions, will be disseminated to the police armories. It's instructive to note that our biometric verification devices are also being prepared, and we are confident that by this weekend all the biometric verification devices will be safely lodged in the police armories across the country. As we speak, we have over 8 regions. The biometric verification devices have been sent to over 8 regional armories, and they are in safe keeping there. We are fully prepared. We believe that our staff are receiving adequate training to enable them to perform creditably on election day and in the hours after that. We stand in readiness to conduct, as you may be aware, the special voting on Monday, the 2nd of December 2024. The special voting would go on in all 328 special voting centers across the constituencies. I believe that you are aware that the special voting is restricted to members of the security, members of the media, and some of the EC's own electoral officials who applied for special voting. And it is limited to those who applied. And by this we refer to the security agencies, the media, and the election officials. But you must have applied. We have worked with the Election Security Task Force and the media agencies through the Ghana Journalists Association. And to date, we've provided the register or the list of persons who are registered on our special voters register to both agencies. And we believe that this has been exhibited on the websites to enable those who registered visit the websites to clarify their voting centers and so on and so forth. So we are confident that we'll have a successful special voting arrangements on Monday, the 2nd of December. Our officials are in readiness. We have an adequate supply of the ballot papers, the indelible ink, the various forms that may be necessary. And of course, the biometric verification devices are also in place to ensure a smooth and seamless special voting exercise come Monday, the 2nd of December, 2024. So in a nutshell, this is how prepared we are. We, as a commission, we stand in readiness. As I mentioned, we are ready to conduct peaceful, credible, and transparent and fair elections come the 2nd and the 7th of December, 2024.
The chair of the Electoral Commission, General requirements are there. To repeat it a number of times, the Electoral Commission stands in readiness. And a number of sticky points to note in there, what she said. They're training over 210,000 temporary officers to be distributed across some 40,900 plus polling stations on December 7th. And it's across all the 16 regions in the 276 constituencies. And guess what? There's only one election command center. And here, this is your election command center. Now, for the special voting, as you heard the EC chair talk about there, it's for what has been described by Dennis Paberi, my colleague is going to be joining me shortly, as very special and selected few organizations that are going to be engaged on election day. And so we would, if I say we, because we are all going to be, as journalists who registered to take part in the special voting on December 2nd, would take part in that voting process. But we have 328 special voting centers across the 16 regions in a number of the constituencies. And that is the place to watch. And we're going to be there every step of the way here on your election command center. And these are the organizations. These was published in 2020. The special voting captured these listed institutions and their members or personnel who took part in the special voting 4 years ago. And it appears that this list is not going to be any different going into, that's Monday, December 2nd. Ghana Armed Forces, the personnel who are going to be engaged on that day, the National Intelligence Bureau, formerly BNI, National Security officials who will be engaged on the day of elections, Ghana Immigration Service, Ghana National Fire Service, the Information Service Department, and the National Ambulance Service, the Ghana Police Service, for the IGP who's leading this election task force, Ghana Journalists Association, the members of the GJA who registered to take part in this special voting definitely will take part on December 2nd, National Media Commission members, Prison Service, and then you also have the National Intelligence Bureau, Customs Service, that's the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority, and the National Ambulance Service as well. So this is what was published, this was 4 years ago. Now we're looking at it quite closely, and it appears that all of these organizations that are going to be engaged within that period will also seek some that's a provision for the special voting on December 2nd. What we do know, and we can say, is that for us here, with the members of the GJA, December 2nd, voting will take place. But quite apart from this, the Electoral Commission has given us a clear idea of the numbers going into this election ahead of us. For the special voting, it's 328 centers they're going to be using across the 16 regions. But when it comes to the voter population over the period, here's what we do know. At least tracking from the year 2000 elections, we have a little over 10.7 million eligible voters in that particular election. Now, in 2004, there was a drop, and there was a reason why. You saw that rise in the year 2008 to 12.5 million eligible voters. And then in 2012, we saw some 14 million eligible voters as captured by the Electoral Commission. And in 2016, we've seen that ascendancy over the period to 15.7 million eligible voters. And then in 2020, we had a little over 17 million eligible voters that was published by the Electoral Commission. And guess what? As we speak, based on the publications on the Electoral Commission's site, we're going to this December 7 presidential parliamentary election with eligible voter population of 18.7 million, a little over 18, almost 18.7 million. So 18,640,811. That's 18,640,811. Now, based on the publications that we monitored on the Electoral Commission's website, here's what we know about the breakdown of the numbers going into this election. This is it. The total number of voters on the biometric register as of the time the EC published the final voters register breakdown, that's a summary, 18,640,811. Total number of special voters, that's those who are going to vote on December 2nd, the special voter population, 131,478. Those who registered to take part in the special voting, 131,478. Now, voters without biometric data. And this category of voters are those who, although they would vote on election day, but because they do not have the biometric data, they would be manually verified. That's 1,870. Now the total, that then, if you add this two, then makes up the total number of valid voters who are valid or validated to take place on election day, December 7 and December 2nd, 18,774,159. If you look at the total number of voters on exceptions list as published by the Electoral Commission, 33,352. Total number of voters on multiple list, 26,569. And the total number of voters on proxy list, that's 2,141. And that's those persons who have nominated others to also exercise their franchise on their behalf. And the total number of absent voters, 441,173. That's the data monitored on the Electoral Commission website. And so clearly it tells you how the numbers look like going into the special voting and election day, December 7 as well. What we do know, based on the Electoral Commission's own data, 131,478 special voters. That's the special voting population expected to turn up on December 2nd. That's next week or this Monday ahead of us to cast their vote. And we will be there, here on your Election Command Center, across all the 328 voting centers that Electoral Commission has published today, per the press conference by the chair of the Electoral Commission. Some 11 days away to election day, December 7, but for the special voting, just about some 5 days away. And the countdown is on tonight. And while we're at it, testing the pulses, especially the young population going into this election, because as we have seen, we gave you the breakdown earlier, that's previously, gave you a chunk of the young voters who are first-time voters as well going into this election. Is not a population that you can neglect. It's one that they have a voice, they have an influence, and a number of the political parties have special programs. And in fact, you see the NDC having a separate youth manifesto targeting that population because of what they also have in terms of elections and politics. It's all about numbers, isn't it? And my colleague, Safo Boahing, has been interacting with some of them, and they've been telling her some of the considerations that would influence their voting on December 7. Take a look.
I don't think so.
Why? What's up?
Okay. For politics, like, I'm someone who really likes politics, and for my analysis, I think now the Ghanaian politics looks like a game. Yeah.
So that's why you're not interested?
So I'm not interested in voting this year.
But what makes you say that?
Okay, so let's do some little analysis. Okay. So looking at Dr. Baumia's, let's say his digital money, like his digital money, I think this is something that's already existing, in the sense that now I can make transactions without using physical cash. I can be in my house and just do transaction from the bank to my Momo. So if he says this is something he's going to implement, I think it's something that's already in existence. You get it?
Are you going to vote come December?
Yes, why not? Of course.
I like the energy. Why not? All right. So what is informing your decision in voting?
I think right now the country needs a great leader, visionary leader to get us on track, to put us where we are supposed to be. The corruption, the bribery, the unemployment, a whole lot is making us decline in growth as a country. So I think my vote is needed for the right person to come on.
For me, I'm going to vote. I'm going to do skirt and blouse. Though people are coming and saying that, why are you shouldn't do skirt and blouse. When you vote for NPP parliamentary, you should vote for NPP presidential. Me, I'm not doing that, okay? Me, I look at visionary leaders. I support a leader with vision. So if you're a leader and then we've been supporting you since, and you've not done anything for us, I'll not even come to you, or I'll not even go to the ballot paper and then vote for you, okay? Yes. So Zenato has been my parliamentary candidate since, and then now I'm changing to Nino Enote because I believe he can do it. He is not even the parliamentary candidate there, but he's doing a whole lot.
He's not the member of parliament.
He's not the member of parliament there, but he's doing a whole lot, and then I believe that when they give it to him, he's going to do more than he's doing. And also for the presidency, I don't want to talk about it because, it carries a whole lot, so I like to hold it.
The first point I'm going to look out before I vote for any political party is number one, our economy. Talking about economy, the monetary issues or the kind of things that are how items are going up when you go to the market, the little money you have, you can't buy anything. Our transportation and even the dollar rate as compared to to the cedi. Number two, we look out to employment. You will finish school, but at the end of the day, you have every qualification for you to find yourself in a job, but you can't get. And I have a very clear example. I have a sister who is even completed tech. Up to now, for more than 2-3 years, he has nowhere to find a job.
And Women Your Election Command Center, and you have a voice, you have a say in what we say here on Ghana Tonight and across all media journal platforms here on Your Election Command Center. And coming up next, we'll stay with the matters of election because we're going to unpack the victories of members of parliament who won their seats in the 2020 elections by a hair's breadth. And when we talk about a hair's breadth, you should stay with us every step of the way in the next few minutes ahead of us because clearly it tells a story that those election, that's parliamentary results, point to a particular story and what to look out for going into this 2024 elections, and whether we're going to have those close margins of victory repeating itself going into this election? Dennis Poberi with Dam Esquire is here with me. He's been crunching the numbers. It's good to have you, Dennis.
You have been crunching the numbers. I watched you explain how, giving a breakdown of the registered voters for the 2024. And of course, elections is about numbers.
Absolutely.
Those numbers that you just put out there are those numbers that are going to translate into either the victories or the losses of some of the candidates. And of course, every single vote is going to count.
Certainly.
And when we begin to go into this topic, which we describe as the battleground, narrow escapees, you begin to appreciate how these numbers really matter when it comes to an election. So these are candidates who, in the 2020 election, won their seats narrowly, and that's how come we call them the narrow escapees.
That's right.
Narrow to a point that some of them won their seats by less than 20 votes.
Less than 20 votes?
Yes. That's not to say that that's not much. Because like I said, every single vote counts.
Precisely.
And to think that parliamentary elections are by first past the post, even if you had something like half a vote,
true,
if you beat your candidate, your opponent by half a vote, you would have been the winner ultimately.
True.
But this 16 votes, and this is the first person to win by the narrowest margin.
That's the Senate West
MP, Kwame Chumesi Ampofu. The margin, 16 votes.
And he won that with 16 votes in that 2020 election?
Yes, in that 2020 election.
Interesting.
And as we go on, we'll begin to zoom into the specifics, and you can begin to appreciate how the opponent has worked so hard to bring the margin to this particular level.
Super.
The catches, they are going head-to-head again in the 2024 election. What is likely to happen? That's the battleground. The next candidate, or the next MP, is Ladi Ayi Ayamba, the Pusiga MP. She won her seat with 63 votes. 63
votes?
Yes.
And you see, you mentioned Pusiga, and it brings back memories, does it not?
Precisely.
That Pusiga constituency, and when there was this, the limited voter registration exercise, the allegations of some unauthorized transfers of voters into that constituency.
When we begin to go in there, you'd see how that story would fit into the narrative and how much of a battleground this is going to be if the NDC does not put itself together in that particular constituency. Let's look at the third person. The third person is Dan Kokuefrie, the Sofiaso MP. He won by 72 votes.
Different, that's it.
Yes.
The margin of victory.
Yes. Then Ahmed Ibrahim, the Banda MP, he won by 81 votes.
That's the deputy whip for the NDC caucus in Parliament.
Precisely.
And he won by what, 81?
81 votes. There's also an interesting story in there.
As an NDC MP?
Yes, an NDC MP. The next, Abdullah Jacob Idris, Savulugu MP, he won by 99 votes. We have George Mekuduka of Tako and Siam. He won by 101 votes.
That's a Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Precisely. We also have Alex Adumako Mensah, Sechurafem Plains. He won by 156. Elvis Morrison Donko, he won by 176 votes.
But you see, stay with Elvis Donko. That's an NPP MP for Ebrasebu Kwamankese.
Precisely.
176 votes. And that's the constituency to watch, because Felix Kwachiofosu is the NDC candidate there in that Ebrasebu Kwamankese.
And when we begin to go in there, you see how the trends have evolved over the time.
I see.
But let's keep at, because we're looking at the top 10. Dan Abdul Latif, Ablekuma Central, he won by 204 votes. And then Teddy Safori Adi, he won by 241 votes.
Interesting stuff.
Now let's drill down into it.
That's right.
Sydney West, 16 votes difference between the NDC and the MPP. In nominal terms, the NDC candidate got 13,116, representing 49.67%. His opponent of the MPP, Joseph Mackay Kuma, got 13,100. That represents 49.61%. Like I said, the difference is only 16 votes.
And the difference, as we see in the parliamentary and presidential, you need 50+1, but the parliamentary majority.
Yes.
Simple majority, you get it.
First part,
you don't necessarily need.
And like I mentioned, these two have been at each other since 2012. And that's why I'll ignore this part of the data. Let's just stick to 2012 and see how these two have been at each other and how tightly the competition or how narrow the margins get as they progress. In 2012, the NDC candidate got 64.2% of the votes. The MPP candidate 34.5%.
These are the same two?
The same two.
The same two persons.
Yes. Fast forward to 2016, the NDC candidate dropped to 51.9%. The MPP gained to 44.3%. Now take a look at what's happening in 2020. In 2020, it's almost a neck-to-neck.
That's 49.7, 49.6.
Yes. Now the interesting thing is, they are going again.
The same two.
16 vote difference in 2020. What happens in 2024? Your guess is as good as mine. And this is a real battleground, if you ask me.
That's Sene West.
Yes, Sene West.
Joseph Mackay Kuma of the MPP, Kwame Tumesi Ampofo, the incumbent. He was retained at the primaries. Joseph also won the primaries. They're going again together. 16 votes. 16 votes. My goodness. That's a place to watch.
But this is an NDC stronghold.
But why do you describe this as an NDC stronghold when the incumbent won by just 16 votes, really?
Well, so let me add that when I say it's an NDC stronghold, they have been winning it. And then again, when it comes to presidential, you see that it's just a clear win for them.
So it is
you don't see this contest when it comes to the presidential. But
so
tonight, our emphasis on the parliamentary. But
super.
I just had to add the presidential to give it context.
Fantastic point there. And because we've seen instances then is where you would have the presidential, the vote skirt and blouse situation.
Exactly.
If you look into it closely, you'll probably get to know that the incumbent MP had issues with the party constituents at the executives of the party.
And sometimes
so some things
internal politics also play a role.
Absolutely.
And that's how we transition into the Pusika situation. Pusika is next on the list. In that particular constituency, 63 votes difference. I mean, this story is widely known. It's one of the constituencies that was litigated in an election petition.
That's right.
Because there were some issues surrounding the whole election. Now, Ladi Ayi Ayangba, she got 14,929 votes. The opponent, Abdul Karim Zani, got 42.13%. Now, let's take a look at a trend here. And let me also state that in Pusiga, the MPP, even though have not won the seat before, they have never repeated
a candidate. It's always changing.
So even though Abdul Karim came very close, and I think he has done the most work for them historically, nobody has come this close.
63 votes.
63. Unfortunately, he will not be in for the 2024 election. One would have thought that coming this close,
they would retain him. But they changed
because the NDC is keeping their candidates.
I see.
But we would see that they would change him. But there's a catch. Now, Madam Ladi entered into this race in 2012. And when you look at the votes that she came with, or the percentage, is very high.
That's right, 63.7.
Exactly.
Of total votes.
But then you see a sharp decline to 44.9. What happened? Because the person she took over, an NDC candidate, decided to contest as an independent candidate in 2016.
So obviously chopped off.
And she got significant part of the votes.
Of the votes.
Yes, over 20%, I think.
And it's interesting that you make that point because we're going into an election where a number of the candidates of the political parties, especially in the case of the MPP, who either lost at the primaries or have some issues with the party, have decided to go independent.
Yes.
And so if this narrative is anything to go by, look, the party should be concerned.
But of course, she still managed to pull it off, despite that there was an independent candidate from her own party in there. Now, fast forward to 2020, a similar thing happened. Simon, who was a two-term MP for the area, he was MP for 2004 and 2008. Then Ladi came into the picture, so he literally has been trying to make a comeback.
Absolutely.
So anytime he comes into the picture, you would see that the NDC votes
would always reduce.
So in 2020, this is what we have. 42.3% as against 42.1%, a difference of 63 votes.
So this is the candidate.
These are the candidates for the 2024 parliamentary elections in Pusiga. One would have thought that Karim, who came very close, would have been the one to be here. But unfortunately, they are presenting a new candidate.
Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab.
NDC is still keeping their candidates.
And we'll go into the profiles of the candidate maybe as we go,
yes.
Because Alhaji Wahab Aludiba is one person that you describe, some people who have described him as quite close to the corridors of power. And so you would have a number of the persons who enjoy the support of either the flag bearer actually going in and winning the primaries because they need the votes.
But the question also becomes, is it the love for the candidate or the love for the party? And here I state again that Pusiga is an NDC stronghold presidentially. So what it means is that the people in there are more attached to the party when it comes to the presidential election
than the individual.
And even when you look at it in terms of the breakdown of the numbers, you'd see that they are even more attached to the NDC in the parliamentary terms. The only reason we see a decline, like I explained, is when there are internal issues in the NDC itself.
Super. Let's go to the next one and let's see this. Because Pusiga is a place to watch as well because of all the issues that happen in that transfer votes allegations.
This is another one.
Sefiwi also?
Yes.
72 votes difference?
Dr. Kokuefrie is the incumbent. He's not making a comeback. But there's an interesting story there. What we are gathering is that the person who is coming on the ticket of the MPP is his son.
Dr. Kokuefrie's son replaces him?
Yes.
Going into this election?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, he's not facing Evans Paul Edu because the DC also has a new candidate. But what is instructive is that this election was also won narrowly, 72 votes difference. Let's look at the trend again. So, Dr. Kokuefrie is a two-term member of parliament. To say that he's been in parliament twice. This would have been his third time.
That's right.
He didn't contest. He
decided to just bow out.
Exactly.
Because he's done enough for himself. Yes.
So for the 2 terms that he's been there, look at the numbers. 2016, he got 54.3%, as against the NDC getting 44.7%. In the 2020 election, that 54% almost swapped. Now you have 45.1%. And the NDC getting 45%. A difference of 63 votes in that. That's a close race.
That's it is. And can you see, 2016, that's when the MPP won.
Yes.
In fact, the NDC has also won that constituency. I see. Let's look at...
so that's it. This is the context for this year.
So these are 2 new candidates.
Yes.
Kofi
Fresh blood.
Bempeafo and Festus Ejapong. That's the incumbent MP's son.
Yes. And then a new candidate on the ticket of the
Interesting.
NDC.
Secretary also. It's a place to watch. This is in the Western North region.
Western North region, yes.
Let's see.
Right.
Okay, good stuff. Dennis, you know what? And we can run through a few more of them in the coming days as we go on. But
exactly.
This clearly tells a story. And we're looking at as well the makeup of the constituency. Because if you want to understand the architecture of the constituency, you look at the candidate, the trends tell a story, but the individuals behind those trends.
And indeed,
tells a better story.
Politics.
Absolute. Good stuff. Dennis, thank you. Thank you so much. Still remain here on your Election Command Center. I'm going to go for this quick break. When we're back, coming up next, we go into the matters of these toy guns that's become trendy in especially the Ashanti region. Tonight, the police is pursuing persons publicly brandishing and indiscriminately firing toy guns in the public, arresting 26 so far. We'll have a deputy finance minister joining us because there was an incident earlier today. We'll tell you exactly what the details is. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, coming up next, toy gun craze gone wrong is in the Ashanti region is what we're focusing on right now. The 26 persons have been arrested. The Ghana Police Service is pursuing other persons in this particular regard. We have a statement from the Ghana Police Service. We'll put it on the screen right now. The Ghana Police Services, they've arrested 26 persons for brandishing and indiscriminate firing of toy guns in a public place. The suspects are currently assisting with investigations and will be put before court to face justice. Meanwhile, a quantity of toy guns and the quantity that have been retrieved, we have pictures of it. It's going to be on your screen right now from these suspects as part of police investigations into the minutes. These 26 are the ones you see on the screen with their faces blurred. These toy guns are the ones you see on the screen right now. The police have seized this quantity of the toy guns retrieved from these suspects as part of their investigations, and they're asking the public as well to desist from engaging in such acts. Now, in a related development to this particular issue, the Member of Parliament for the Inshiaeso constituency, who's a Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amoah, earlier was reported to have pulled a gun in self-defense, as a matter of fact, after some of his constituents or some persons who attended a gathering in his constituency threatened him with this same toy gun at Semaso, and the youth were allegedly demanding updates. But look, let's go on to the telephone right now. Dr. Stephen Amoah is Member of Parliament for the Inshiaeso constituency and the Deputy Finance Minister is joining us on the telephone. Good evening to you. Appreciate your time, Dr. Amoah. Great. Now, first of all, exactly what happened that led to you reportedly pulling out your gun in this audience?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Thank you for this opportunity. My regards to our viewers. I think your introduction is not correct. It is incorrect. Probably you must have been giving wrong reportage or report. What happened? The young people who were involved in this antisocial behaviors were not part of any gathering, and it wasn't a rally. I had been invited by a group that had formed a fan club, and I went there to address them. And honestly speaking, coincidentally, I don't know why God did that. It was close to something like a ghetto, a gang, that every Tom, Dick, and Harry knows in the constituency that. In fact, even the chief imam had officially reported to me that we should find army and other security agencies to get them from that place, because most of them are into antisocial behaviors.
This ghetto.
The gathering,
you're saying this ghetto that was close to the venue where you had this program, the chief imam has reported to you that the ghetto should be cleared.
Go and check. Because we had it at Asamasu Zongo.
Right.
And the ghetto is just close.
Okay.
And even the chief imam and co are not happy with them for what they've been doing. Some of them don't even hail from Asamasu. They don't even live there. They've been there for years. But I have a different view about ghettos and the way they behave. I think some of them are underprivileged. So time to time, I didn't go there and talk to them, help them, so that some of them could be rehabilitated. I even made this statement at a gathering where we met in a very cordial manner. I mean, I show empathy. But when I was leaving, I saw them gathered in front of one of the shops. So I got down to go and greet them. Everybody was there. It was a daylight. So when I greeted them, one of their leaders said that, "Oh no, we like you, but the AstroTurf, apparently I'm doing an AstroTurf there for them.
I see.
It's been given to a contractor. And honestly, the AstroTurf had delayed. So definitely some of the youth guys were not happy. So he was talking, he was a bit upset. But I wasn't even angry. I'm like, oh, I did not check in the local dialect. It's been long, but even myself, I'm not even happy with the contractor. So take it easy. If anything at all, I am rather helping you to get a better turf to play football. And he was very happy with that.
Okay.
And they even asked me for money. And I gave them money. So when I was going to board my car, some of them were just trooping and they were not even angry with me. They were heckling me, moving me up and down.
Heckling you for what? For what reason?
Because we are, when you meet those, if you've been following politics, when you meet the youth, probably who, I don't want to define them in a bad sense, but they are ghetto guys. A lot of them are into drugs. This one, everybody in Atasmaso, including the chief, the queen, the chief imam, they know what I'm talking about. It's a public knowledge. I'm at the type that I don't really look down on them, and I try to sometimes go to them and talk to them. But then I realized that he was taking a different trade, because some of them belong to different political parties, and they don't understand the fact that even up there we are all together. So I saw it was getting a little bit wilder. Then somebody pulled me in a very bad way. So when I said, one of the young men had then got himself off me, went just a few meters or feet, and then he pulled the gun. I'm surprised they are saying it's a toy gun. He pulled the person. I'm a small boy.
Okay.
Of course, I may even be wrong, honestly, because I was panicking. Then I also pulled my gun.
No.
And then he realized that I also had a gun. And then he ran away. Then I put down my gun and I left.
Okay, so
what people are talking about are all lies. In any case, I think it is the IGP. Somebody puts a gun and points the gun at him, and he has a gun, or he has a gun. You're not sit there for him to be killed. Have we forgotten about J.B. Duncan?
Okay.
Have we forgotten about the Central Region MP? Where are they now? Then people are not considering my life.
Okay, so you pulled your gun. You
can go and check.
You pulled your gun in self-defense, you say?
Of course, and I didn't even have them. And there was no provocation before God.
Good.
There was we had even finished talking about the AstroTurf. It ended amicably. I had given them money. It's a public knowledge.
Good.
And then some of them decided probably to go wayward, and my life was in danger. And that's one. Nobody could tell me that if somebody points a gun at you and I have a gun, I should stay and to be killed.
It's a fair point. In fact,
IP and stuff like that. No,
the reason why I'm even having to speak to you tonight is also get that side of things. You indicate that there was no provocation. That's underscored, correct?
No. The only thing that came up when I went to greet them, one of their leaders raised the issue about the AstroTurf.
That's fine. So
then we finished that. I gave them money. But when I was going, when you have a gathering or a crowd, a sizable crowd, definitely some of them, they don't even understand politics. I don't want to say party A or party, because I don't think NDC will push them to do that. But some of them, probably they don't understand politics. And they decided to behave in a very bad way.
But you're saying that this same...
with me.
You're saying that...
to be heckled, and I saw a gun pointed at me. I got scared, and I pulled my gun. The person ran away. So I don't see any hullabaloo, any big deal about somebody trying to take my life. And I'm sure the person, safety first. I didn't touch the person. He didn't touch me. He ran away. I didn't even say he was pursue whatever, and I left the place. I think that is extremely...
Yes, but then again...
He did not kill me.
Yes, but then again, you would understand why, obviously, this would elicit a certain form of reaction, because you're the member of parliament, you are there, the youth, as you indicated, maybe the word heckle, I would say they mobbed you. They mobbed you because you are their MP. They've seen you. As you indicated, you give this same group of people money because they are your constituents. They ask for it. They ask questions. And when they mobbed you, you saw somebody pull out what you say. How did you know that that's a real gun, by the way?
So, my brother, I wasn't the only person, though. A situation such as what happened, then somebody pulled a pistol, and I wish we had a photograph of it. We've all been to different communities before. I've schooled in UK. I've stayed in Ghana here. I know how how bad ghetto boys behave, even in movies. The guy has a guy like somebody who has been given some form of training.
And so you saw that was a pistol, a real pistol, and not a toy gun?
I saw. It was the next day that they were saying that he was holding a toy gun. But in any case, why do you think that was a toy gun, which I know it wasn't? Why did he pull that thing and point it at me, attempting to take my life? What came into his mind? I have not insulted them. I have not fought them. I have not said anything bad about them. There had never been AstroTurf in Shieso. I'm doing the second AstroTurf in Shieso. Even the first one wasn't government. It was bank. I used banks to do that for them. So why do you want to take my life? And I have every right to defend my life.
I wonder why you would say this same group of people are your constituents. They were with you. You give them money. Why would you think they would take your life?
Oh, my boss, it's not their crowd. It's not everybody that you think will like you. Even there are people who are married and their wives or husbands or their relatives could take their lives. So what you are saying, it makes sense asking me this question. But some of them are now have been MPP. Some of them have had their own reasons. These were guys that, to me, most of them are on drugs. I mean, you can go to the community and check if I'm lying. So whatever came into his mind, I wouldn't have known. What I knew was my life was in danger, and I had to defend and protect myself, and nothing bad happened. Thanks be to God, I'm alive.
Well, it's a subject of...
Any other story that they are putting around it, it's up to them. I'm praying that those doing that one day, they will not come, they will not be confronted with these situations. I'm just praying for them.
Well, it's a subject of also investigation for the Ghana Police Service. So, but I thank you for joining us as well on this matter. It's one that we'll keep an eye on as well. Dr. Stephen Amoah is the Deputy Finance Minister. He's a member of Parliament for the Shieso constituency. A number of you reacted when you saw this story about the reports of he reportedly pulling out a gun, a pistol, in that particular instance. But it's one that we'll keep an eye on. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. We're also live on 3FM 92.7. On behalf of the rest of the team, make a date as always tomorrow at 10 p.m. I'm Alfred Okanse. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.